Hi, I'm Elle McCann from Curious Themes Web Development Studio in Nashville, Tennessee. And if you've already watched the first part of this video series about goal planning, that is great. If not, I will link to it in the description below. But the first video is all about the 90-day system, and it's going through saying, why the 90-day quarter-based system works, which is taking your year and dividing it into 4 3-month quarters and creating goals and projects based on what can actually be done and goals reached in that 3-month period. So in the first video, I talk about why the system works and the system overall, as well as keeping yourself accountable by doing my favorite, which is rewards. But in this second video here, I'm going to actually walk you through and share my screen of how to set up, a yearly goal, as well as then breaking it down into quarter goals, your individual projects, as well as tasks that accompany those and subtasks. So there's a lot to cover, so let's go ahead and get right into it. So in this video, we are going to actually go through what it looks like actually setting up those 90-day goals and breaking that down even further. So I have an example of this set up in Evernote, which is just a software that I use in terms of keeping everything organized. You can do this either written down on a piece of paper, in a Word document, in a Google Drive doc, however you want to have this organized. I do recommend having it in a place where either you can print it off and then go through marking it off or highlighting it, or if you've written it down, that works as well. But make sure that you have it to where you can actually reference it very easily. And, even if you want to save it on like your desktop, if it's a computer file, that way you can very quickly reference it and see how you're doing and mark things off as you are going throughout. And also it helps in terms of figuring out exactly what your goals for the week are going to be. Once you have this 90-day plan really easily accessible, you can go through that information and start planning a little bit easier in terms of weekly goals and breaking that down even more. So the first step is setting up your 1-year plan. Now, a lot of times your 1-year plan is a little bit more abstract. You can see here from the top area, I just set up some general goals for a 1-year plan. I see a lot of small business owners having goals like this, so I wanted to show you what that would look like. So for 1-year plan, a lot of times there is some kind of financial goal there, so making, $100,000 in profit. You want to make sure that it is a goal that is, a stretch, but still easy for you to reach. So if it is, your first year in business, you don't want to set a goal of setting, making $1 million for your first year. Yes, it can be done, but that may not be as realistic. So you want to make sure that it's actually a realistic goal, a little bit of a stretch, so that you have to kind of push yourself to work towards it, but you don't want to make it so hard that, you're not going to come even close to getting it, and then you're going to beat yourself up about it. So in terms of financial, definitely make that realistic, and I definitely also recommend doing a printed out thermostat to help you keep track of that. Another goal I see a lot of is people putting in their 1-year plan of actually hiring an employee to help with certain tasks that they don't like. Also a time or location goal in terms of, only working a certain amount of hours per week or maybe having location freedom. So you're working, away from the house and you're traveling while you're working, as well as press and getting visibility. I also see a lot of entrepreneurs who have, either a part-time or full-time job, put that on their 1-year plan of actually putting in their resignation and working full-time on the business. So all of these are great plans and ideas to have for your 1-year goal. However, we want to make them a little bit more actionable. So having a goal of, quitting your part-time or full-time job or making $100,000 a year is really nice. However, we want to make sure that we have actionable steps of how you're going to actually accomplish that. So this is where the 90-day comes in. So you can see here, I have this 90-day goals and I have quarter 1, which would be January through March. So you would go through this process every 90 days. I know I've talked to a few different business owners that actually map out their entire year every 90-day increment. However, a lot of things can change, and sometimes even though you work really hard at something, it doesn't get completed and it needs to be pushed on to the next quarter. So I think having your goals created at one 90-day increment at a time lets you be a little bit more flexible and roll with things. If a really great opportunity does come that fits in perfectly with your intention for the quarter, then you may want to slide that in as well. And if you have these rigid goals, then it's a little bit harder to move in with them. So once you have your 90-day goal, then you're going to set that up into 3 different projects. So you can see here I have project 1, 2, and 3. And I recommend 3 because 3 is a good amount in terms of keeping things actionable. Also, there's 3 months. So if you wanted to, you could focus on project 1 the first month, project 2 the second month, and project 3 the third. And so this is a way, so, if you had 5 projects, and that's a lot of different things that you're doing, especially as an entrepreneur. A lot of people are solo entrepreneurs, so they're already balancing a lot of different hats. So if you add, a ton of different projects, then it's really not going to be really balanced, and you're going to feel a little bit overwhelmed. So if you find yourself wanting to add a lot of different projects in, I would look at, say, which are the top ones of what's going to bring me, either the most freedom or financial stability or happiness, and put those in to this 90-day goal, and then the next move them to the next quarter. Remember, you do have 4 of these, so you can always move it on to the next one. So once you've gone in and set up your first project, so you can see here project 1, I have to create a new higher priced product that sells 20 products, 50 products, and 100 products. So what this is, so here's my big goal right here, the create a new higher priced product. And what you see here is the sell 20, 50, or 100 are my good, better, and best versions of that goal. So my good goal is, I'm saying I at least want to sell 20 products of that. That would be good, and I would feel accomplished. So selling 50 of that would make me feel even better. And then 100 would be the best version of it. So having those set up, because if you just set up your goal and you say, okay, I want to sell 100 of it. If you sell 50, then you're not going to feel as accomplished. However, if you set 50 as your better goal, then you still feel accomplished and you're reaching for a higher goal. So this helps you kind of hit those benchmarks as you're selling. Keep in mind that these are based on a 90-day increment. So this isn't just for the month. So this would be selling 100 products in the 90 days. So by doing this, you're keeping yourself, again, a lot more accountable and aligned. And you can also set up, different rewards that you want to do for this as well. So once you have that set up, then you'll want to break it down into different tasks. So for this example, I broke it into task of creating a new product, testing your audience and getting feedback, putting the product up on your site to sell, and also doing paid advertising for the new product. So these are the bigger tasks. Now, a lot of times I see people stop there and they say, okay, yeah, I'm going to create a new product and get it up on my site and start selling it. And that's actually a really huge task. And I have been very much guilty of doing this as well, of setting up a task for myself that I'm writing it down in my planner like it's going to be an hour, 2-hour long task, but it's actually a 25-hour long project. So I think getting very clear about what is a project and what is a task is always really helpful in setting yourself up for success. So for example, this create a new product is a task of this project, and then there are subtasks underneath. So to create a new product, I would need to brainstorm. So for example, I'm using here a planner. So I would need to brainstorm the new planner and how to position it. I would need to source the planner materials and estimate the cost. And I would need to start designing the planner prototype. So that is just the first subtask in setting up and achieving this task of creating the new product. So once I got that accomplished, then I would move on to the next task under this project, which is to test the audience and get feedback. So coming in here and creating the projects, task, and subtask is really helpful in terms of keeping everything on track and making sure that you're breaking things down to feel manageable. Having this create a new higher priced product is not a goal that you could set for the week, or neither is the create new product. However, brainstorming the new product and how to position or sourcing the planner materials and estimating the cost are both realistic goals that you can set for the week that are going towards your bigger goal. So I definitely recommend that you keep very realistic expectations. especially if you have very limited time. If you know, for example, let's say that you're working part-time or full-time, then you need to kind of estimate how much time do you actually have to spend on this business. And in terms of these goals, if you only have, 10 hours a week to work on this, then you need to actually map out, okay, how much are each of these things going to take? So if you have, 10 hours a week, you can't put, 20 hours worth of work in 10 hours a week. Otherwise, you're not going to feel accomplished. Even though you worked really hard and still worked 10 hours, you're not going to feel accomplished because you didn't set yourself up for success. So that's one big thing that I definitely recommend doing when setting up your different 90-day goals, projects, task, and subtask. I had mentioned in the previous video about doing rewards. So I would come in, for example, I would say that this create new product, this was kind of a bigger thing. So I might put this as a bigger reward where, after the prototype, that still takes a lot of time. So I might do a reward for getting the planner prototype done. So having these set up, and you can even put it, next to your planner in terms of typing in here what the reward's going to be for each of them. You can also set up a reward for your different goals here. So you have a reward for if you sell 20 products, if you sell 50 or 100, you can set up different goals for that as well. Of course, with something like that, there's also the financial target of taking you back to this making $100,000 in profit. So as you go through, you'll go through this process of setting up the task and the subtask for all of the different projects that you have set up. So for project number 2, for interview a new person, a lot of times I see on people's to-do list of, oh yeah, I'm gonna, hire a new social media person. And that's a huge task. That's a lot of, creating the job description. You've got to put it out there. You have to interview people. Sometimes you will do like 2 rounds of interviews. Maybe you're asking for them to, test out and do some social media posting for you for a week and you review it first. There's a lot of different things that go into hiring an employee or a contractor. So you can't just put it as a quick, oh yeah, I'll do that this week. You need to break it down even more. And by doing that, again, you're just setting yourself up for success. Again, with let's say another project that you have is to get featured in the local news. You can set up how many times you want to get featured of a good, better, and best goal, and also break that down into task and subtask. So task for that would be, creating a media kit, finding contact information for the local news networks or your local newspaper, or maybe even if you want to hire a PR agency, actually going through and interviewing people in different PR agencies. So really breaking that down into a lot more bite-sized chunks for your different projects. So I like setting this up in Evernote, and I like having the checklist functionality, which is right here if you're using Evernote, because you can actually, once you get it done, you can come in and you can actually check that off. So you can have that as a running list as you can see, how things are filling up. Or, if you have this where you can print off or you've written it down, then you can go through and actually highlight it off or whatever it is that you'd like to do to kind of feel that accomplishment of ticking something off your list. So I definitely recommend that because it gives you even those smaller wins as well. So a lot of times whenever I show this system in terms of breaking out the subtask, I'll hear entrepreneurs say, oh man, I went through and I broke out all the subtasks for all of the different tasks for the projects, and there is a lot to do. And I definitely I understand that. And as you fill this out, I just created a little bit of a test for this one. But as you go, you may have a long amount of scroll that you have to do. Like for paid advertising for the new product, that's, finding the best images, or maybe you need to take your photography, working on copy, setting up your ads for Facebook, and then Pinterest and Instagram. And so it is still a lot of work. And whenever you map it out into your subtask, you really start to understand how much work that is. But I always recommend doing this, although it can be overwhelming. It gives you a really good overview of all the things that need to be done. And from there, you can decide, which items you actually need to outsource. If you need help getting some of them done, you can outsource those, as well as you have the kind of peace of mind that everything has been thought through and it is all down and ready for you. And all you have to do now is start working through that. I'm not sure how many of you have felt the same, but I always, right before I'm about to go to sleep, I'll have an idea or a thought of, oh man, I have to do that tomorrow. And it's kind of like I can't go to sleep until I've gotten that figured out. Otherwise, I have that, I'm missing something or I've forgotten something going on. So by mapping out all of your different subtasks for your different tasks and projects, this lets you know that you have everything figured out and now you just have to work through what you have set up. So it's really kind of comforting knowing that you're not missing anything, you've gone through it all, and you just have to work the process. So thank you so much for joining me for these 2 different videos all about planning your year out in 90-day chunks. I hope that you were able to take away some tips and techniques so that you can plan your year out for success. And make sure you subscribe to this channel to receive all new videos all about how to grow your online business with Shopify.